ArborJet injection. He's already set up the bottles. He's got the valve closed. He's setting up the injection sites.
So I took out 8 plugs. I'll keep 8 in my hand. On your injection sites, you want to look for the root flares. The root flares, that's like the conductive tissue of the tree. So that's what you want to target. Inject on the flares, avoid the valleys. So I'm going to essentially space around the tree every 6 inches an injection site. You want to look for injury on the tree, anything that might be a cause of concern, something that might suggest it's not a good injection site. You're going to drill at a perpendicular angle to the surface. If you don't put a lot of pressure on your drill, it's just going to cut through the bark. And when you hit that xylem tissue, which is more dense, you'll feel that resistance change. That's how you gauge how thick the bark is. The flat edge of this plug will be set below the bark, recessed. So on this particular tree, the bark's about a 1/4 inch thick down on the flares. So my plug's going to be recessed a 1/4 inch. You drill into the tree about 1 inch to 1.5 inches.
And if you let your drill spin too long, it'll in essence cauterize it, correct?
Right. I've got my drill set to the low speed setting. If you have this on the high setting and you let that bit spin and spin, it'll actually cauterize from the friction. It'll glaze that wood over and cut off the vessel from being conductive.
Thanks, bro. Where I'm at right now is kind of a flat spot on the tree. It's not really good flare here. So I would expect this flat portion of the tree to be slower uptake. On the flare tissue, you have really good uptake. So I'm just going to skip that whole area and I'm going to take advantage of this big flare on this side. Next step is to tap the plugs in with the hammer. Just use a regular 16-ounce hammer. The kit comes with a plug setter. It's essentially a nut driver. Biggest mistake people make is they just set the plugs flush to the bark. You want them recessed below the bark. That way the tree can heal over.
2 lines are longer, they reach the farther side of the tree. The needles push through the center of the plug. I can go ahead and open these because that main valve is turned off. Just open everything up until it stops. Current level's about the bottom of the T on ArborJet. Open up our main valve. Want to make sure there's no leaking. I put some dye in it.
What's the average cost of a quart of propofol?
Brian or Junior, you want to answer that?
I'll have to look. I'll look real quick.
And the average retail for diameter inch, is this the 10?
$10.
Yeah. Okay.
So, got both bottles going. I showed you that picture of leapfrogging across the property. Propofol is a relatively thick chemistry. Because of that, uptake is a little bit slower. So before I walk away from my bottles, I like to give them a pump, make sure they're at max pressure. First bottle that I started is at the T, so it's already dropped about half.
About $65 a liter.
Thank you.
So with the IV, it gives you the opportunity to, it's doing the work for you. So if I had another tree, I could go ahead and get started drilling and setting the plugs on that tree. Come back, these bottles are done. Go move them over to the next tree and just kind of work across the property that way. With oak wilt treatments, I told you earlier, preventative is the way to go. That's what you want to do. One reason, because, well, it works better. Two, if a tree's infected with oak wilt, it's shutting down the vascular tissue of the tree. I'm depending on that vascular tissue in order to move my product. So a therapeutic treatment, a tree that's symptomatic, is very slow to take the product. This tree also, the oaks are beginning to flower right now, so transpiration is relatively low. This tree is senescing, so that slows things down. If we were in May and it was bright and sunny outside with good green leaves all over this tree, it'd take the product a lot faster. So everything we're doing, just tapping into that water flow and merging our product. So it's sort of like merging onto a highway. If traffic is moving, you can merge on at 70 miles an hour. It's a fast application. If traffic is slow, it's a slow process for you to merge onto the highway. Regardless of pressure and product and things like that, it all depends on how conductive the tree is. If you guys want, I've got our QuickJet Air. This is our latest system that we've developed. The QuickJet Air is really great for low dose of concentrate. The IV allows me to dilute my products, where the QuickJet Air, this would be more where I'm applying an insecticide, where I'm just using the concentrate. And so you're applying low doses. Where on this tree I'm using, what do I got going there? 400, almost 500 milliliters of cumulative solution. With this, you would just be putting in a fraction of that. So the insecticide options, this works really well. We can go to that elm tree across the driveway there and see how receptive it is to taking some water.
I don't know if you put the valve on the yellow one.
You're the man. It works better if you open up the valves. This blue one's doing pretty well though.